I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the mission statement of we ensure have these to develop the social, civil, and critical thinking skills to thrive in an ever-changing world. Brenda, can I trouble you for a roll call, please?
Mr. Ogden?
Here.
Mr. Kenneth?
Here.
Mrs. Kishore?
Here.
Ms. Larman?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Ms. Strick?
Here.
Mrs. Wadsworth?
He's gonna be a little late. All right, first thing on our agenda is the approval of the January 18th, 2021 Lee School Committee meeting. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept meetings from January 18th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right, Brenda, can we have a roll call?
Mr. Ogden?
Yes.
Abstain.
Kishore? Ms. Larman?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes. All right, next up we have the fitness.
All right. Members are invited to address the time. Issues raised will normally be referred to the administration or a subcommittee of the school committee. So anybody out there?
I have something from Mrs. Hall. If nobody else.
All right, Mrs. Hall is coming to us from
Via.
our chair.
This is. I'm writing, ask the school committee to endorse request for the lead committee to endorse the statement on the November 8th report and the resolution to appear on the Lee's annual town meeting. Thank you, Kathy.
Anybody else? We're hearing anybody? We'll move on to the next item.
Representative report, and I see Emma Bunton. See her.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me all right? So for student government this past month, we have kind of followed the lead of the strategic planning committee and created some of our own values that will be. Sorry?
You're breaking up on us.
Maybe if I turn off my video, is that better?
Yes.
Seems so, yep.
Okay, just let me know if it happens again. I was saying that the student government is kind of following the lead of the strategic planning committee and coming up with some of our own values for us to follow kind of throughout the school year and in years to come. Some of them are like social and emotional wellness, inclusivity, and a couple others. I won't go through them all, but we'll be following those when we plan activities, when we think about things that we're doing around the school. And one of those things coming up is for Valentine's Day. We are doing an activity based around what students love to learn, something that they either already know or want to know, whether it be life skills like cooking or driving or just anything that they're motivated to learn. And then we'll use that to plan activities for later in the year. And then we're going to like make a chain to display through the school so we can see all the goals of our students. And and for the student representative conference that there is for that was brought up to us last time, we are going to have a couple of students attending, I believe. I think 2 juniors and then maybe a sophomore. I'll be attending myself since I won't be here next year. It'd be much more useful for them. But it's really exciting that they get to go and learn from other student representatives, and then they'll be prepared to do something like this next year. And I think that's all I have for today.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Emma. Give us 2 seconds. Our technical assistance person, Greg Borgenti, is fixing our owl. Thank you, Greg.
There was some feedback from some in the audience that they weren't able to hear people in the room. So I asked
Oh, okay.
Greg to move that forward.
Perfect.
Gotcha. I got this.
All right. Kirk's going to speak for all of us now, so you should be able to hear us. So next up is the chair report. The only thing that I have to report this month is that the charting the course is available online. It's being offered on 2 days, the 12th and the 19th of March. For any of you that have not taken it yet, that are new to the committee, you have to take it within the first year of your time on the committee. It is a full day online course. I think it's like 8:30 to 3:30 or something like that. Brenda sends out the information with the registration thing. You can also take it again for those of you that want to take it again, if you can think of nothing better to do on the 12th and the 19th. You can take it again, but that is the information on that. So if you haven't taken it, I would recommend taking it now while it's still virtual, because otherwise you're going to have to trek somewhere to take it. So questions? That's it. That's all I got. Superintendent's report. Mike, it's you.
All right. So thank you very much. And we'll try to get you guys through this quickly and be respectful of everybody's time. Try to prioritize some information here. So enrollment update, 633 students in the Lee Public Schools right now. You can see the breakout there. Not too much of a change from our January data, some ebbing and flowing in both schools, but remaining pretty consistent. Again, breakdown by students. And you could see, you know, we've got a healthy number of school choice students at 152. The district will be engaging in a bit of advertising in a couple of weeks with the Eagle to try to promote the Lee Public Schools as a destination for school choice and highlighting some of the things that set us apart from our neighbors in hopes that we can encourage more families to come to Lee Public Schools as a school choice destination. Quick personnel update, and there's only one. Carrie Mulcahy has begun her work as Mr. Martinuk's assistant up at LES. She is in week number 2 now, and she's adjusting nicely, getting and figuring out how things are going up there. COVID-19, someday we won't have this on an agenda, but that's not anytime soon. I continue to remind everyone to wash, wear, and watch. The mandate for masking is in place until the end of this month currently. There seems to be some hinting, maybe from the governor, that mask mandate may be coming to an end, although nothing explicit, nor have I gotten anything explicit from the commissioner. So as of this moment here in Lee, masks are still required when indoors, regardless of vaccination status, and they're required on school transportation. This is not for, I don't think for tonight's conversation, but perhaps at our future meeting, is whether the committee has any interest or appetite in exploring if there isn't a removal of the mask mandate by the governor, whether you want to explore at LMHS the 80% rule. You can see that right now, 81% of staff and students at LMHS are fully vaccinated. That number is not nearly the same at LES, and I don't want to set the school district up for anxiety or battles or struggles between the buildings or families. But I think at some point, this is a conversation that the committee is going to need to have. Again, if you have questions, you want to talk about this when my report is done, I'd be happy to entertain that. But I think that you're going to see in the coming days, if not or weeks, if not days, something from the state level about the lifting of the mask mandate. You see that Connecticut and New Jersey have removed their mandates. I would imagine Massachusetts is not far behind since we are the most vaccinated state in the union. Cases grew a lot since the last time we met, 206 total this year between the two schools, pretty evenly split. But we are trending in the right direction now. Jim Willis at Tri-Town has shared some data. We're moving in the right direction. We need people to continue to do the right things, which includes stay home if you don't feel well. That's a reminder, not just to our students, but to our staff. We don't need heroes. We need healthy individuals in our schools. So we know it weighs on all of us when staff and or students are not here, but if we can get through this this Omicron variant over the next month or so, I think we're going to be in really good shape as warmer weather comes to us. Test and stay update. We know that we've abandoned that in favor of the at-home testing kits. So those we're in week 2 of distributing those. Staff got theirs 2 weeks ago, and again today. Students got theirs last week, and we'll get them again. And then when we come back from vacation, we'll all be on the same schedule. So we'll reset, and students and staff alike will get their allotments on the same schedule after the February vacation. There is a requirement, part of that consent that was given by people who are willing to participate in this is that you do submit your positive results on the online form. So that's a reminder to our students, families, and our staff that if you do test at home and you do test positive, you are required to update your status using that form that's available on our website. Protocols have been updated. There's a link there. And so when this slideshow gets populated to our website tomorrow, people will be able to click on that if they want to access it. And pool testing continues to be successful. There were 63 pools collected yesterday, 302 samples. We did get some positive pools we addressed today, so that those who were positive have been identified and are in quarantine. The COVID-19 vaccination data through last week, again, similar to what I talked about with the vaccination rates at LMHS, you see that we're in pretty good shape. We're going to continue to see these numbers improve and increase, grow closer towards 100% as vaccines continue to become available and as people's eligibility for the booster improve. Again, digital consent is available on the school's website, and thank you. I continue to do this every month. The county ambulance, we're not without error on occasion, but without their help, we would have a mightier struggle as we try to get COVID testing done. Project Bread grant, Lori Goodfellow applied for and was awarded a $3,200 grant. She's using that to purchase a small freezer unit for LES and then a countertop merchandiser for LMHS. So kudos to Lori. I give her a lot of credit. While Lori is slated to retire at the end of this year, she's not throwing in the towel. She continues to look out for the students and staff here in the Lee Public Schools, as well as our counterparts in Lenox. But great work by Lori to get that grant.
Yeah.
Our staffing needs continue. Substitute teachers and paraprofessionals are always needed. Same with food service employees. And if you're interested and eligible to drive a bus, DO4 is always looking for additional drivers. The LES playground, for those of you who may not know, certainly is in need of some attention. And so over the last couple of months, I've been meeting with stakeholders to examine the playground and consider options for updating, replacing, repairing, and we're concerned about the structure's safety. Things they have been tended to, so parts have been removed that were unsafe, but we have to examine the maintenance of the grounds. There's the status of the asphalt that's in need of repair, the basketball courts, the walkways. So there is sort of a little bit of a grassroots movement here between teachers, family members, PTO, town officials, school department representation to examine different ways that we can try to upgrade the playground, because we know it's not just a community structure. It's a part of a school day. Kids are using that each and every day. Phys ed is using the grounds. We want to make sure that they're safe for all who are out there, whether it's on a Saturday or a Wednesday. Strategic plan update. The plan was shared with members of the school committee. It went back to the members of the strategic planning committee as well for review. Excellence is expected. And the plan, again, focuses on curriculum. It focuses on wellness, technology, and district organization. So, you know, I would ask the committee and the public, I will publish this to the website for review and welcome comments from anyone who wishes to. It was an open and transparent process over the last 5 or 6 months to get to where we are. It wasn't an easy process, but I think it was a comprehensive one. So I will post that, and I welcome comments, questions, or concerns from any members of the committee, any members of the community, school community who want to share. I think it'll help us inform our work as we move forward as a district. Perfect scores. They're not just for the Olympics anymore. They're also for the Expressive Arts program. And a huge congratulations to Heather Lucy and Jess Pollard for their work in that Expressive Arts program. Berkshire United Way was here last week conducting an on-site visit. And they scored a perfect 20 out of 20 eligible points. The feedback that we got was pretty remarkable. We don't know what kind of funding we'll be eligible for next year, but we are aligned, teed up, and ready to go to get that funding when it becomes available. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jess, for your hard work. And speaking of hard work, it is National School Counseling Week. And I think this is an opportunity for me and the committee to thank our school counselors for the work that they've done, supporting our students socially, emotionally, mentally, academically, and more. They have gone above and beyond over the last couple of years, take care of the needs of our students who just grow by the day. So thank you to everyone for your hard work to get us where we are. So thank you, Dan, Shannon, Heather, Bear. You guys have done remarkable work. And I will pause there.
I would like to second that. Thank you. And I think everybody on the committee would like to do the same. So thank you. All right. Next up on our agenda are our principals and directors reports. So first up, we've got Tim Merton from Lee Elementary School.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to echo a little bit of what Mike said. I want to welcome Carrie Mulcahy, who is our new principal's assistant. In our Expressive Arts program, as Superintendent Richard said a moment ago, received a perfect 20 out of 20 score. The BUW, Berkshire United Way, was very impressed by what they saw. The grant was originally slated for 3 years, but again, they want to extend it to a 4th year. So thank you to Heather Lucy and Jessica Pollard, who have created this from scratch, and they've done an excellent job implementing it. Super proud of them. Tomorrow, there's 2 assemblies for LES students in the LMHS auditorium. Ty Allen Jackson will be reading a book that he offered to our students, while the Lee Middle School and High School bands will play a piece of music that they wrote to accompany that book. This week, the 5th grade is finishing up a 4-week program run in partnership by the Mass Audubon Society and Housatonic Valley Association. This program covers science concepts and links them to the Housatonic River. There will be a culminating field trip this June where students will canoe a small section of the Housatonic River under the guidance of the Mass Audubon Society. 4th grade is set to begin a program next week run by Flying Cloud Institute. This program mixes science and art as students learn about energy through project-based learning and dance. As Superintendent Richard said a moment ago, the playground committee has been created a couple months ago, and there's been some good work by faculty, parents, community members, school administrators, and a rep from the town. The goal is to take a close look at that playground, including the structures, which are now pushing 20 years old and are definitely in need of attention. The LES Winter Band concert was performed virtually this year due to COVID concerns last month. A link to this concert can be found at the last LES newsletter located on the LES website. Thank you to Aaron White and Matt Filio for all that went into making that happen. When we return from break, students in grades pre-K to 3 will have an opportunity to watch a virtual performance at the Mahaman Theater. This performance is an adaptation of several of Eric Carl's stories. Thanks to the PTO for funding this opportunity for our students. And lastly, LES is participating in Reading Across America the week we get back from break. There are several spirit days around this week, and Wednesday is the community reading day. As of right now, we have 22 community members participating, ranging from police officers to school committee members to Mr. Bergini, our principal, and Superintendent Richard. And thank you to Lori Curtin and Mia Derone for organizing this great event. And for those that don't know, every year our school resource officer gets stuck in a tree dressed as the Cat in the Hat and is rescued in the morning. So if anybody wants to see that, feel free to pop by.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, next up, we have Greg Bergenti from Lee Middle and High School.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Our second quarter honor roll has been posted and will hopefully soon be published in the papers and online and various sites. Congratulations to our students, 41% of whom made one of the 3 levels of the honor roll for second quarter. Tim mentioned that we're hosting the elementary students at the children's concert tomorrow. I did want to mention, because it's very cool. It was our band students who actually composed all of the music that is being played tomorrow while Mr. Alan Jackson narrates the story. So it's really exciting that they'll be able to perform and see their own work that they composed. So a lot of thanks to Joanne Nelson for coming to making this come to reality. It's a really exciting project. In the realm of testing, our ELL students have now completed their annual access testing. It's a pretty intensive testing program that tests them in all reading, writing, listening, speaking areas to try to get a handle on where those ELL students' proficiency is so that we can better serve them moving forward. It's a really intensive testing environment for that. It's actually makes the MCAS look pretty easy and straightforward. So that is done. Regular MCAS begins next month with the grade 10 English tests on March 22nd and 23rd. We have a slew of official fundraisers happening right now. For 2 years, there were no fundraisers happening. And all of a sudden now, every team and every club is doing fundraisers from breads and candy and donuts and everything else that's out there. I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that if you have a question, whether a fundraiser is official and approved by the school, you can just go to the fundraising section of our school website of the approved fundraisers there so that you would know if you do have any questions. Third quarter progress reports will be issued this coming weekend. All students and their parents and guardians will receive the progress report via email. And then lastly, with graduation season fast approaching, I know it doesn't seem that, but it's going to happen really quickly. I'm happy to report that Tanglewood has notified us that they're tentatively moving forward with graduations on their campus this spring in June. So we'll have a backup plan ready just in case something happens, but we are looking forward at this point to graduating in the shed at Tanglewood on Saturday, June 4th. That's it for me.
All right, next up is Jen Norton with special education.
Hi. I have a few things not too drastically different than last month, but I have a couple of meetings coming up where we're doing some training. I'm working with DCF most recently or soonest. Tomorrow we have it's a regional meeting and DCF brings as many representatives as they can, and a lot of the special education departments and school officials are invited, and we just go over their educational policies and how students that are not only in foster care but are receiving DCF services, are homeless or military families. There's a lot of different rules and regulations about students that might be enrolled in our district or nearby districts, so we do some training on that, and I'm excited because tomorrow I think is going to be one of the bigger ones that we've had. Today was day 2 of our full-time, our 4 days a week for our 3-year-old preschoolers. So we had all 10 of our preschoolers for 2 days. They are loving it. I think having them start slowly and coming together in this way has been really amazing to watch. And some of our most needy students have really made some tremendous gains. So I do encourage that if there's, anyone who would like to visit, just reach out to me and I'm happy to take you for a walkthrough. But that is going really well so far. Preschool and kindergarten screenings, Mr. Mertnick and I will be working together. And within the next probably 2 weeks, we'll get the ads out for those. We will be having the preschool screenings in April. We don't have the specific dates yet, but I will have those for you at our next meeting. And the kindergarten screenings will be in May. And usually we also coordinate with St. Mary's to help them with their screenings as well. So that will all be in the newspapers. The biggest thing I have for you is that Mr. Richard and I received something from the state. It's in regards to 2022 special education determination, which is under Part B of the Individuals with Disabilities Act. And Lee is meeting requirements, which doesn't sound exciting, but there are only 4 categories, and that is the category you want to be in. So, and that looks at different things. It looks at the graduation rates for students with disabilities over a 5-year period, the annual dropout rate for students with disabilities, public school monitoring, special education compliance data. So we have lots of indicators that we do over 3-year cycles, problem resolution systems, performance on special education state performance plans and annual performance reports, and data and findings of if we had a significant, sorry, I can't speak tonight, disproportionality, but in all of the areas we have come above and we are at that meeting requirements level. So I do not have anything else. Well, it's a combined effort with the rest of the administration. So
That's big. That's what, there's a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out in special ed, so that's huge. So congratulations. All right. I appreciate it because I know what it's like.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Jordan Meyer with facilities. I feel like I saw him up there. I did. There he is.
Hello, everyone. Forgive me as I'm coming to you live from my laundry room because it's the only room where there's quiet, which could be disturbed by the kids at any moment. Nothing too drastic to report. The facilities remain healthy. The HVAC systems remain healthy. We did suffer a dent, so to speak, in regards to our larger dually truck, our older truck. It lost a serpentine belt that left it dead in the water for a few days. It was during weather conditions, and DPW was notified and stepped up accordingly, and I thank them for doing so and salting the schools while our equipment was being repaired, which it has been and is back in the rotation. The new snow thrower that we have for the tractor was also suffered a failure. The failure was corrected at no cost to us, and it was a simple failure because the installer that marries the hydraulic lines from the tractor to the implement itself made an error. It caused a blowout of a line. It was corrected again at no cost to us. The device is back in service. The LDS park is still a topic of discussion and conversation. I am happy to be involved in all of that. We have, like Superintendent Richard said, removed some pieces that were of concern already. Also followed up with the concern of where they were placed in the interim, but while we figured out how to dispose of them because they were quite heavy. We have removed those components too that were a bit of an eyesore on the property. Unfortunately, some of the bases, the concrete blocks were frozen to the ground. Perhaps over the next week, if we get some daytime temps that are high enough, we'll be able to pry them up and get them moved as well. We had some backflow preventer valves inspected at LES. Everything passed inspection. However, there is a need for some cleanouts. There were some pressure release valves that did not trigger within set parameters, but they will be again cleaned out, and that's not it's a very costly thing. The greenhouse motors to the heating units went. They're a bit older. We did have them rebuilt. Again, not at a great cost. But it is an area of concern because the heaters to the greenhouse do keep the equipment warm when needed to be pushed into service for weather events. I don't think the motor is in a position where we couldn't repair it if it does go down, but at some point it is going to need replacement just for cost, responsibilities. Aside from that, everything is looking well. We continue to take cold weather measures throughout the facility to protect it. We have had no failures this year with any of the inclement spikes that have occurred, and everything is looking good otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Okay, next up, we have committee reports. First up, we have Finance Committee with Randy.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna go over, we had 2 warrants. The Finance Subcommittee had met earlier this evening and approved 2 warrants. The first warrant was the accounts payable for $168,599.49. And on the screen, you can see the detail where that money came from. Due for busing, Lennox Public Schools, and then on the bottom, we could see some utility costs with Eversource and Sprague operating. And then again, due for so transportation was the payable here. So that's the accounts payable.
Okay, I will entertain a motion for the accounts payable.
Motion to accept accounts payable in the amount of $168,599.49.
Second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can we have a roll call, please? Betsy.
Second.
Betsy,
Mr. Aubin,
yes,
Mr. Kenneth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Ms. Strickler,
Yes.
and Mrs. Wadsworth.
I don't think she
No,
came yet.
she has not.
No.
All right, the second warrant is payroll, and just to make note that there are 3 payrolls in this warrant, and the total amount is $551,532.28.
All right, I will accept the motion for the payroll.
I'll make a motion to accept the total payroll warrants for $551,532.28.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, Brenda.
Mr. Aubin,
Yes,
Kenneth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Abstain.
Ms. Strickler,
Yes. All right.
All right, the next item was, so we talked about the tuition agreements with the Farmington River School District and the Tyringham School District. We talked about getting some more information in order to make a more sound decision. So Superintendent Richard is going to dive into some history of those agreements and come up and give us some detail on that. And that way we'll be able to decide what direction we want to go in terms of the tuition assessment. So that part, we didn't have any votes. And then our usual discussion this time of year about the budget. The subcommittee spent a lot of time going line by line this evening before this meeting, looking at level service, looking at the 3% increase. And just to let everyone know, there were 278 lines that are in this Excel spreadsheet that we have to go over. So there's a lot of time, a lot of due diligence that this group is looking into. We're looking at the March 8th meeting to kind of finalize and make a final recommendation for a final approval at the end of March. So that's where we are with the budget process. It is a daunting experience. I'm just going through something like this because there's so much information. So be patient with us. We're doing our best job we can.
Thanks, Randy. All right, up next. but thanks. Up next is the curriculum subcommittee with Nicole Fisher. Nicole's our new chair. just so-
Yes, I am. Oh, thank you so much. So tonight, earlier, the curriculum subcommittee met. The first thing that we talked about, we did not have a vote on. It was just a math textbook update. We were excited to hear that we're thinking around March, there's going to be a pilot for HMH into math. What made it very appealing was that it is a K, one of the only K through high school programs. We're super excited to see how that works with these teachers. Thank you to those teachers who stepped up to pilot it. That's an undertaking, much appreciated. And we look forward to hearing your feedback on that program and have high hopes since it is K through high school, connecting the standards, the overlap, the similar language. So that's exciting. Second thing that we talked about, we did have a vote on and accepted. Principal Brigenti brought us a change in some programs of studies. Let me tell you about them. So the first thing that was proposed was changing the honors English 12 curriculum to align with the seminar.
10. 10. It's a typo. It's 10.
Oh, 10, sorry, 10, not 12. The second was adding UX History 2, which would complete the process that they've been going through to align the curriculum to the revised social studies frameworks. The third proposal was revising the financial algebra methods for financial analysis, which came from a need for more real life math. And the last, the Adobe certification with Photoshop, and that was responding to student demand for more in-depth work in Adobe Photoshop specifically, instead of just a broad range of certification in multiple areas. And that did come from some student voice. So I'm happy to hear we're giving them some voice and choice, and that just focusing on Photoshop was a better. Am I still on?
Yes, the goal.
Okay, so we did vote and accept those proposals. That's all from me.
I have no idea.
I think you're on blurred
I
on
think
the
you're
the
on blur on the
background.
background.
I don't have any virtual background.
Just hit none up there, none.
Where?
Was it, just click on none.
That's what I
Right
got.
there.
I've got none selected.
All right, well, we're waiting for them to fix that. You can still hear us, so I'm gonna keep talking. So I will entertain a motion to accept the changes to the program of studies, the LMHS program of studies for 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us?
Mr. Robin,
yes,
Mr. Kenneth,
Yes,
Mrs. Kusher,
Yes,
Ms. Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
yes,
Ms. Strickler,
Yes.
Mrs. Wadsworth,
Still not here. She's gonna try and join. All right. Thank you, Nicole. You did awesome.
thank you.
All right. You broke the internet, but
A
other than
lot of
that, you did
distractions during my
great.
first report. A lot happening there.
All right, moving on to old business. I'm gonna move something in front of Comfort Dogs. At our last meeting, we had talked about changing subrates. And we said we were gonna push it forward to this meeting, and then we forgot to put it on the agenda, but as the chair, I want, so I'm adding it. Do you have that ability?
I might be able to. My concern is, in a moment.
Thanks for your patience, audience.
Mhm.
Aaron, can you give us a thumbs up if you can see that?
I can see it. Thank you.
Okay, so back, I think it was around Christmas time because I was in Florida. The finance committee talked about making changes in the substitute rates at Lee Public Schools so that we could get more subs, because we are struggling to get subs because we're not competitive with the rest of Berkshire County. And so Mike did his due diligence and looked at all the other schools in Berkshire County and got what rates they were making and came up with this suggested list. So Mike, I'm gonna let you go through with the suggested list and present. You can talk about what you found.
Sure. So the county is all over the board in terms of their compensation for substitutes. However, the trend has been because it's difficult to compete with Dunkin' Donuts, with McDonald's, with Big Y, and any other employer around to bring people in when we're equating their work to less than minimum wage. Everyone seems to be increasing their substitute pay rates. So to that end, we have 3 levels for teachers, those with no degree, those with a degree, and those who are retired or certified. They are being paid at $72, $82, and $95 respectively per day. My suggestion and recommendation to the committee is to adjust that pay for the balance of the school year to be $95, $110, and $125 respectively, again, for no degree, a degree, or a retired and certified teacher. I've costed out this. If this had been in place since the beginning of the year, this would be about an additional $12,000 expense year to date this year. So we are just over halfway through the school year. We're at, I don't know, 52% of the way through the year or so. So I would expect that if our substitute teachers rate continue to be the same, again, for the balance of the year, we'd be looking at probably about another $12,000 expense to absorb the costs associated with substitute teachers. I think that we've got a couple of lines in our budget that we haven't had to access this year, particularly around vocational education that we could use to absorb this added expense. But I think it's important to note to the full committee and the community that the lines that are traditionally associated to substitute teachers are always underfunded every single year. And so we've got to get a grasp on what are real expenses and how we can properly plan for those for the future. But that's a long-winded way of saying I think we can handle this this change if that's something that the committee chooses to move forward with. Below that, you see similar recommendations for long-term classroom teachers and cafeteria staff, moving the cafeteria from $13.17 an hour to $14.25. That doesn't come out of foundation budget, that comes out of food service revolving account. And then again, long-term classroom teachers, those are traditionally scenarios where you either have somebody who's out with an injury, a long-term illness, or pregnant. Some of those this year, and those are an annual event for us regardless. So I don't know how you want to take them up. Do you want to take them one at a time or en masse, or if there are questions?
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the sub rates as outlined in the presentation and presented by Superintendent Rashad.
Second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Mrs. Kashur?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
I'll abstain, Brenda. It's okay.
Mr. Nichols?
Abstain, please.
And Mrs. Wadsworth?
Not here.
I don't think she joined that. Okay. And then, are you ready? You good? Okay. All right, next up, we have our comfort dog.
Great. So, so the,
Get with it, will you?
yeah, I know. So at the last meeting, the committee asked me to do some legwork around the idea of accepting a comfort dog donation from Berkshire Dogs Unleashed and Berkshire Poodles. I did some due diligence. I surveyed faculty and staff around that. Those results were shared with the committee that indicated, well, there were 117 people who responded to that. And of that, 93% were in favor. 7% or so were not or didn't necessarily support the idea, maybe is the better way to phrase that. And there was lots of anecdotal feedback that was shared with the committee that ranged from, yes, this is a great idea, to, hey, maybe we should be exploring other options and doing some other things. I was also asked to delineate the responsibilities, including financial responsibilities for the district, as well as get legal opinion. I shared all of that with the committee as well. We have an agreement, or at least Mr. Kohlenberger and I sat down a week and a half ago or so and hammered out an agreement that looked like the school department would not be under any responsibility financially, except the possibility for a short-term food responsibility for the puppies if they were to be accepted. And then whether the district chose to compensate handlers for the time and effort and energies responsible for maintaining and keeping the dogs safe. All other expenses would be assumed by Mr. and Mrs. Kohlenberger's organizations, including Hilltown Veterinarians Service being donated. So the question becomes whether there is any stipend or compensation that would be given out to those people who I air quote volunteer to be handlers at each building. I do see that Mr. Kohlenberger is in the audience tonight, and I don't want to overstep, but I certainly want to make sure that the committee knows that he's here in the event that there are questions that you may have.
Does anybody have questions?
Yes.
Okay, go.
So in the annual cost that you outlined, I see option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at varying levels of expense for the handler stipend. Can you talk through that a little bit?
Sure. So I outlined a number of scenarios, and forgive me, I'm not looking at it, but I believe in order. It goes from a $60,000 a year allowance, which looks like two $30,000 a year stipends for handlers. That is at what would be an overtime rate of a half hour a day, 365 days a year for two individuals. That adds up very, very quickly. The second option is $40,000. That's not an overtime option. That would be a straight hourly reflection, again, for the same staff. I used a person who had expressed interest in potentially being a handler as the baseline for figuring these calculations. The third option is just literally pulling a number out of a hat saying, yeah, well, if it was $5,000 per person per year, you'd have a $10,000 expense. The fourth option was at $3,750, totaling $7,500 option. The fifth option was $2,000 each times 2 of $4,000. Those again were just options for consideration. Of course, there's a sixth option that's not listed there, and that is purely volunteer or some other dollar figure that that the school committee and or the Lee Education Association may be willing to negotiate. My conversation.
The handler part of it would have to be negotiated with the union.
And it's 2 people for 2 puppies?
It's one person, one primary handler for each dog, 1 dog per building is what the proposition from Mr. Kohlenberger was.
Right. Other questions? Kirk?
Thinking. I mean, listen, here's the thing. I think that comfort animals are phenomenal, and I've experienced them in various different settings, and nothing but great things about them. I'd be very, very happy to see these in our schools. I would. I'm just concerned about cost. Another concern that I have is, and we're looking at what these dogs are going to do throughout the day, and who they're going to be assigned to. So I'm thinking maybe a couple steps ahead here. But if we're assigning it to somebody whose primary duties is to be in a classroom all day long, we're paying for an animal that is going to be in a classroom for the majority of the day, and maybe not necessarily moving around the school, doing the job that a comfort animal could be and should be doing it. But this is my thought. Again, I'm very grateful for Lee Kohlenberger and his organization. I think it's a very generous and amazing opportunity. I'm more than happy to see this in our schools. I'm just concerned about cost.
I think with regards to the handler portion of it, I think the handler would be picked specifically with the idea that it needed to be somebody that could roam the building and use and the dog would be used for what it was specifically meant to be used for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. That was a concern of mine, but I had no doubt that that this program, if we choose to adopt it, would be
And I think,
developed in the most appropriate
and I
way.
know that Lee said last time that it would be, there'd be a primary handler and then there would be secondary and
Yeah.
tertiary handlers as well. Oh, Lee's got his hand
All
up.
right.
Lee's got his hand up.
I wasn't sure if it was okay for me to speak. From a cost point of view and I know we don't want to compare town to town, district to district, but Lennox with 2, Pittsfield's going to be around the 15 range for how many comfort dogs they have. It's all volunteer based and there's no pay. It's obviously the school committee's choice, but I'm not sure that I really want to see a precedent set that these handlers are paid. I feel that that will really jam up other districts in the community that may not have the funds to do that, for one. And I don't think that is what we set out for. I think that this being free and for the school is where it needs to be. And that paying the handlers, the handlers get the benefit of having this dog around the clock. It's not like you're adding an orangutan that's going to destroy their house and wreck everything and be a ton of work. It's just as much of their pet at home as they do to get to bring it to work. And I think paying them isn't the right direction to go. If you didn't have anyone interested, maybe that's one thing, but you're going to have people knocking down the door to do this for free. To set a large number to pay people, I think would be a waste for the school and a poor precedent to set on our part.
I appreciate that. Lee, I sincerely appreciate you hearing that from you.
I appreciate that too, because I think that was one of the biggest concerns that we had when we took this on, Lee, was that, when we started looking into this, was the cost and the liability were the 2 things that we were looking at.
Exactly.
We've got our you got our answer on the liability. And I am grateful that you are saying, I think you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, I hope you're saying, that for this to be a donation, it needs to continue to be cost-free. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Correct.
I like, that's what you're saying, Lee.
I like that too. and
Thank
I
you,
find
thank you
it-
for saying that, Lee.
I think it's very valuable feedback, and if we look at our survey data, it clearly shows there's a, I was worried about the financial and the liability too. But the staff to me, the want and the need is there, so I think you're going to find someone based on the survey data of 90 whatever percent staff members want this, so I think we should probably listen to them.
And there's, I mean, even you look at the responses from some of the staff members that, that were in the more the no category, if you put it that way. A lot of their concerns that appear to be financial based. This money can be spent elsewhere, it could be here, there, whatever.
Right.
But, no.
And if I could, I'm sorry, I skipped, I appreciate Chair Larman noting it, but MIA, who is the town's insurance carrier, just so that the public understands, were consulted, and any liability associated with the dog's actions would be covered by the town's insurance. What would not be covered is if something happened to the dog. That is not covered by insurance, but if the dog were to have an accident, act out, a bite, whatever it might be, that is covered by our insurance.
Do we need to have a conversation around if the dog does break its leg? Like, what happens? Because I know veterinary expenses are covered,
I think-
right?
I think-
We're looking at you, Lee.
Yeah, Lee.
Sorry, it's all blurry. I can't see anybody.
Yeah.
So every dog is going to have their own insurance policy, and the deductible will be covered through Berkshire Comfort Dogs, which will be the nonprofit. So there's no fees on that, and anything major, the vet is going to be the one responsible for making a decision on what's best for the dog. We're obviously not going to put the dog through things that he shouldn't be put through, just like anyone else's pet.
That's also good to know that the dog has its own insurance that is paid for outside. So
Right.
truly, seem to be no costs.
Right. Aaron, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, you guys are a little blurry, so can you see me?
We can see you.
Okay, thank you. And Lee, I'd like to say thank you for that report and that reassurance on that. Thank you for that. And looking at the report that the teachers, this faculty supported, that this endeavor, about 97%, and it seems like there is a need. Mental health is a big thing going on now, and I think by having a comfort dog, I think the students will benefit. I even think staff will benefit with a comfort dog in both our buildings.
Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
As far as.
Kirk?
Jeez.
Do you feel targeted, Kirk?
No, not today. Yeah, my dog got stickers.
Of a dog.
Yeah, I know.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think we all had many of the same concerns. I personally feel as though I have gotten answers that I need to upon this generous gift.
Do we need to go to the union for this?
Only if there's a stipend.
I think that Lee has made it pretty clear that the donation is only coming if the handlers are free.
Right.
Am I correct on that,
Yeah.
Lee?
The volunteer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's not a precedent that we want to start this early with. I have meetings in the next few weeks with every district in the county that doesn't have them. And I don't want that to be something that is a hang up moving forward for other schools.
Lee is saying the donation is coming to us only if the handlers are volunteer.
Okay,
Correct.
we'll have a lot of applicants.
Yeah, so I think that.
Is this volunteer, when they volunteer for this, is it the life of the dog they volunteer for? Or is it an annual volunteer, a biannual, or how does that work in terms of the handler?
It is for, there's a lot of scenarios that need to go into a policy around this. I would rather, if a dog is with a handler for 5 years and the handler retires, I would rather plan and donate a new puppy to the school and let that person retire with the dog, then pull a dog that's been living with this person for 5 years and say, now you have to go live with Superintendent Richard because your handler's retired. I think
That's not a penalty, Lee. That's not a penalty.
I think it's case to case on those, and I don't know the best way to plan for that.
Intent of the volunteer is to keep this dog for its lifetime. That would be the
Correct.
optimal result.
Unless it's not a.
That's a
good-
perfect story.
Right, perfect stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I feel comfortable.
Does anybody does anybody feel comfortable in making a motion?
I make a motion to accept the donation of comfort animals from Mr. Kohlenberger's company.
I will second that.
All right, Brenda, roll call.
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mr. Pettis?
Yes.
Mrs. Kusher?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
And it is Mrs. Wadsworth?
She's not here, but she did say that if it was a volunteer position, she would yes it as well.
Okay.
That doesn't count, right?
It doesn't count, but I'm just saying.
We do have a new staff member though coming to us in 4 legs.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Second the motion, excuse me.
Aaron,
Here, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. New business. That's exciting. Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome.
Thank you for-
Congratulations.
Lee, thank you for
Congratulations.
coming to the meeting and for giving all, and for graciously donating and for clarifying all that information. And Greg, thank you for fixing our blurry camera.
Mike fixed it.
Oh, Mike finally. fixed
no,
it?
Greg
No.
gave me the suggestion. I figured
Okay.
it out.
All
Yeah.
right, perfect, thanks. And to our audience, thank you for dealing with the blurry presentation while we just trundled right ahead. Okay, next up on our agenda is new business, and it is the fair share amendment. And Neil Clark, where are you?
I'm here if you can hear me. I'm probably.
Can
will
hear
leave-
you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Ken.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the video off in hopes of the audio remaining stable, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely fine.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight about the Fair Share Amendment and make sure everybody knows that it definitely will be on the ballot November 8th. It had a 80% vote of the legislature to make sure that's going to happen. And as somebody who's been involved with public education and the political arena for over 50 years now, I've got to tell you that to someone like me, at least, it's the chance of a lifetime. And for those concerned about funding for public education, transportation, and infrastructure, this is something that we need to get the vote out to make sure that this passes. The Fair Share Amendment itself is a state constitutional amendment that establishes a substantial annual dedicated revenue stream for 2 fundamental contributors to a healthy economy and productive lives, namely public education and transportation. The Fair Share Amendment's estimated to bring in between $1 and $2 billion annually by placing a 4-cent per dollar surtax on realized income solely above $1 million. So everybody's first $1 million of income won't be affected whatsoever. It's just on the income above $1 million, and that's at 4 pennies a dollar. And it's also estimated to really just to affect about 1% of taxpayers in the Commonwealth. So I've got 3 specific requests of the committee tonight. And one is that you join the select board in passing the resolution before you in support of the Fair Share Amendment. The second would be to ask you to sign a citizen's petition, which I hope is there as well, to bring or to make sure that the resolution is on the warrant for the annual town meeting, so the town can vote in favor of the fair share amendment. And I hope that you'll be able to find the time to be at the annual town meeting to perhaps vocalize or at least physically demonstrate your support for this, as I'll say again, chance of a lifetime to provide funding for public education going forward, earmarked funding specifically for public education and public transportation and infrastructure. I'm more than happy to answer any questions about it.
Yeah, Neil, is that I think you said this, but I just want to clarify, our local delegation is in support of it?
The select, if I heard you, the select board voted at its last meeting in favor of the fair share amendment. Town council advised to have it go by citizen petition to the annual town meeting, which is why we're collecting signatures on that form.
Gotcha, all right, thank you.
We have choice, we can either, so we can either make a motion to endorse it, or we can make a motion to table it till the next meeting, so we have more time to think about it, discuss it.
I'll make a motion to endorse the fair share amendment. Second.
Any discussion? Brenda? Robin?
Thinking. You know, you can come back to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Larmen? Yes. Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
And my vote will be yes.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Neil.
ladies and gentlemen.
Wants to sign it as a private citizen, you can also sign it. Drop off the paperwork right there. You have to be, we all have to be town residents to be on. the
That's
board.
automatic.
I'm gonna sign it after the meeting, after we adjourn.
Okay, after we adjourn. All right. So next on our agenda is our future business, which is our next meeting, which is March 8th, 2022. And then last but not least, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, wait, Aaron, his hand. Sorry,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Sorry, yeah, that's okay. Did you get my last answer, Brenda?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes, we did, Aaron.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. Now I will, so we need a second.
Second.
Adjourn. Any discussion? All right, Brenda.
That was Mr. Dennis, right? That seconded?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
Time.
8:10.
It is 8:10 and we are adjourned.